Just keep holding me, don't let me go. Everything's so magical.
Hi there, wig lover. This is Heather from Sister Wigs, and this is my end of the year wrap up. If you would like to hear about how we are restructuring the Sister Wigs main channel as well as rebranding the Sister Wigs 2 YouTube channel, please stay tuned for the entire video. I've made notes to myself so that way I don't go on a billion tangents, and that way hopefully I can cover everything in a kind of concise fashion in this video. So first and foremost, I'm super looking forward to 2021. 2020 has been an extreme dumpster fire of a year for basically everybody, so I'm gonna knock on a bunch of wood. Basically everywhere, because I hope that for all of us, 2021 puts us all on better footing and we can, go outside and interact with people, and not just my cats and my husband, but, one thing at a time. All right, so on this main channel, Sister Wigs, just plain old Sister Wigs, we're going to continue to do the Have I Got Nudes For You series. I've had a number of people contact me and say, hey, when are you bringing that back? That was really a cool idea. So I enjoyed doing that, so we're going to bring it back in 2021. I've still got a ton of nude eyeshadow palettes, and I can't wait to show them off to you. I've just kind of been trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do here in 2021. Like, I felt a little lost because of some of the drama and turmoil that's been going on behind the scenes. And if anything, I felt very relieved in the past couple of weeks, because getting that out of the closet and, spreading some sunlight on it, because sunlight's the best disinfectant for this kind of drama. Getting it out there in the open has been a massive relief to me. It's like my chains have been broken, and it's helped me refocus on what I want to do here on the channel. So I definitely want to do more Have I Got Nudes For You. They take a lot of work to do, but I enjoy them, and if you enjoy them too, we'll just keep making it a thing. I also want to do more topical videos about wigs and way fewer product reviews. I want to make more content about what you can do with the wigs after you buy them. Just like I want to make more content about what you can do with makeup after you buy it, as opposed to constant infomercial type sales pitches. That is just not my comfort zone. It's not something I really want to do or be lumped into. So I want to distance myself from that as much as possible. So that's what's going to be happening a lot in 2021. And not to throw shade at that either. Some people really enjoy watching, content like that. It's just I don't feel that comfortable making content like that. So the more I can distance myself from that, the truer I can be to myself, and the more comfortable I'm going to be here out in public doing the things that I do here on YouTube. I want to bring back the horoscopes. I thought those were a lot of fun. I didn't do them at all in 2020, and part of the reason why was because, frankly, the people weren't buying a lot of hair. I felt kind of irresponsible. Just a moment of truth here. I felt very irresponsible being in a position where I was expected to make a bunch of content trying to encourage people to buy stuff. And those horoscopes definitely have, that little bit of a sales pitch to them, like, hey, you should buy these things if you're this star sign, that sort of thing. And I think that we can have more fun with that in 2021, particularly once the economy recovers. And now that I'm making more of my own products, and I'm emphasizing products that are in a very wallet-friendly price point, I'm not quite as nervous to make content about it. I don't feel as irresponsible promoting the products that I'm making, because I know I'm making them with a very intentional eye at deliberately making value products. I'm making products that are inexpensive alternatives to items that are really popular in my store, or they're things that I'm just, creating out of thin air and then having people make for me. But all of them are made to be very budget friendly. So I feel a lot more comfortable promoting them, not just because I'm making them and I'm proud of what I made, but because I know that I made them deliberately to be inexpensive and kind of stripped down alternatives to the things that I'm already selling. So, if you want something that's got a lot of lace features and is a little bit more high end, I have those products too. But I wanted to offer an alternative because I felt really gross being on that treadmill and making content about products that I know a lot of people are going to struggle to buy under even the best of circumstances due to the price point. And now that so many people are in such a precarious financial situation due to this recession, I felt like I wasn't being very nice by promoting that stuff. So we didn't do a lot of wig reviews in 2020 relative to past years, and that is a big reason why. But now that I've got alternative products to promote that aren't quite as expensive, I don't feel quite as reckless, and I'm much more comfortable getting back into the groove of that sort of thing, if that makes sense. Just so you know, I think about this stuff a ton. I probably overthink this entirely too much, but I always want to make sure that, you know, I've got your interests in mind and not just my own. Let's see. I also want to make more product showcases featuring the products that we're making. And this includes talking about the downsides of some of this stuff because, as I mentioned, they're stripped down versions of things that we already sell in a lot of cases. Like my Piper arguably would be a nice alternative to something like Ignite by John Renault, except Ignite by John Renault is a higher end wig. It's got a really nice lace front on it and those high-end finishes. So, you know, if you like high-end wigs, you would probably prefer the Ignite. But if you want a backup wig, or you are priced out of Ignite and you still like the style, I wanted to be able to offer something to you in that situation. And so I would love to be able to talk about that, but that includes talking about how these are not as high end as some of the other things I carry and why that's a deliberate move. So I plan to be incredibly transparent about all of that stuff as well, because I don't ever want anybody to walk away buying one of my products with the expectation that they're exactly the same as like a Tony of Beverly wig or a John Renault wig or something like that. That is not the goal. The goal is to make them inexpensive. So definitely some concessions were made, and I want to be sure that I tell you about all those up front whenever I make content about them. The way to think about the direction overall that we're going with the main channel is that it's makeup and wig content, and that it has a positive and functional slant. So if that's the sort of thing that you're into and you want to keep hanging out here with us, by all means, please do so. Now you know what to expect in 2021. Now, if you would like more behind the scenes candid content where, you know, we take the masks off and we just talk to each other for real, like friends talk, you'll want to go to Sister Wigs 2. We are rebranding the Sister Wigs 2 channel as Sister Wigs After Dark. My husband actually came up with that concept in our Heather and Nigel show several years ago, and I was like, you know what? That's kind of a brilliant idea, because I have been really, really interested in having a platform to be able to talk about some of the behind the scenes stuff. And I've noticed that trying to do it here on the main channel is like trying to swim upstream. It's really difficult because I think people are conditioned to really want that kind of QVC presenter style of doing these wig reviews, and they don't like it when I get too real. So I wanted to make sure that I had a place for people who like that stuff, i.e. the main channel, and that's going to be our focus in 2021 is making this kind of like that functional, positive place. While Sister Wigs 2 won't necessarily be a negative place, it'll just be more real. And sometimes reality has a negative slant. That doesn't mean it's going to be a negatively slanted channel. It's just, it's going to have a little bit of that in the mix too. No spin, candid content. It's going to be about what it takes to do what I do. If you've ever had any interest in opening your own wig store or being an online content creator, that's where I'm going to talk about that stuff. It's going to be on the Sister Wigs 2 channel. I'm going to talk to you like an adult talks to other adults without any spin or a sales pitch attached. So behind the scenes stuff, my industry life vlog will go there. Personal stuff about what it's like to be a business owner with autism spectrum disorder. My gastric sleeve stuff, we'll start doing more conversations about the gastric sleeve and stuff like that over on Sister Wigs 2. We'll also talk about polycystic ovary syndrome in a little bit more detail throughout the year 2021 on Sister Wigs 2, because I feel like that's another ball I've kind of dropped a little bit. You know, there's a reason why I call myself Sister Wigs and not Wigs Sister, and why I spell it CYSTER. It's because, you know, wigs are something I wear. PCOS is a part of who I am. Just like the autism spectrum disorder is a part of who I am. And if you really want to get to know me, getting to know about those conditions and how they affect me is a really big part of that process. And I hope to accomplish two things with that kind of content. One, if you've got either of those disorders, or you have loved ones or friends that have those disorders, it will help you know that you're not alone, that you know, these things can be challenging, but they're not insurmountable, and that, you know, things that are hard are still worth doing. And my second goal in being more candid about some of these things that I have to work around or incorporate into my work life, things that other people might consider like impediments to what I do, I think that by talking about it more openly, I can help destigmatize these things. I would love nothing more than to destigmatize post-traumatic stress disorder, or to destigmatize Asperger's syndrome, or high-functioning autism, or to destigmatize hair loss. You know, I would love to destigmatize a whole bunch of things. And I think talking about these things is an exercise in compassion. It helps other people put themselves in the shoes of somebody who is facing those things. It is very difficult to know what those things are like, even when someone tells you what it's like. But it's much harder if they conceal that information from you. So I know that I'm going to get a lot of heat and negative blowback from people who are hell-bent on running with this narrative that I'm just a really negative, nasty person. But I am neither of those two things at all. And my hope is that by being generous and telling people what this experience is like on my end, and not doing it for pathos, but doing it so you can understand what this is like, that will help anybody who has these disorders see, you know what? You get to write your own narrative about yourself. And just because you have these illnesses, that doesn't have to be the defining thing about you. You still have the ability to define yourself. And yes, those things will still be a part of you. But you have the power to make that into whatever you want. And I want to show people how to do that. I want to show them how to do that, and I want to show them through my experiences and through my example how to make these things work for them instead of just being a thing that is constantly against them. And the easiest way to do that is just share what I'm going through and what's happening. And I would like to ask up front that people try to resist the temptation to assume that I'm whining when I talk about this stuff. That is completely unfair. If the goal were to whine, I would just get a therapist. and I have a therapist. I don't need to vent here on camera. And in fact, in a lot of cases, I try not to talk about this stuff. I only talk about it when it's necessary. And sometimes I can wait years to talk about some of this stuff. If I don't think it's actually going to be beneficial to you, I don't talk about it at all. You know, I've been autistic my entire life. And I only started opening up about it to you like literally in the last month, because I've been so afraid of people misconstruing that as part of that gossip and negative agenda that a lot of people seem to have against me, to talk about, you know, how I'm just being super negative by mentioning that I have this. For one, I don't think that my autism is a bad thing in all contexts. Like, sometimes it can be a bad thing, but it's very situationally specific. And it's usually due to other people's judgments of me based upon their inability to comprehend my disorder. So again, I think that if I give people the olive branch and the opportunity to learn more about what this is like to someone who actually has these sorts of impairments, it you know, perhaps that will encourage them to be more compassionate and realize that people like me aren't leaning on that as an excuse. Right? That if anything, people like me don't want people to know that we're autistic because we don't want to be judged because of that. We want people to view our body of work and our efforts and judge that more than the alphabet soup of various diagnoses that seem to be comorbid and go along with each other in these cases. It's like the worst game of Scrabble ever. I've got ASD, I've had a VSG, I've got PCOS, and PTSD. Just gotta find that triple word score and I'm all set. I encourage you to hang out with us on Sister Wigs 2, to subscribe. If you watch all the way to the end of this video, there's a link where you can subscribe to Sister Wigs 2 and follow along with that. I'm also going to put a content calendar on the About tab here on this channel as well as on Sister Wigs 2, so you can see what we're launching any given week and you can be a part of that premiere or watch that live stream as it launches. Speaking of live streams, we're going to do weekly live streams on the Sister Wigs 2 channel at 6 p.m. every Saturday starting this week. So January 2nd of 2021 is when we're going to start that. And it's going to be real informal. We're going to talk wigs. I'll answer questions you have about wigs. It will not be a customer service thing. We don't do customer service here on YouTube. If you need help with that, please go to support@sisterwigs.com. These two YouTube channels operate independently of the Sister Wigs store. Like, we are affiliated, but this is its own little ecosystem. It's its own business with its own LLC attached. So that's why we don't cross the streams and do customer service here on this YouTube channel. It's its own little enterprise. But yeah, we're going to start that this week. It's going to be real informal, fun. You know, we're just going to kick it, talk about hair. If you want me to do demos, whatever, we'll do it. I've got a massive wig collection, so I'm happy to compare things, and I try to make it as interactive as possible. So if that's something that is appealing to you, please hang out with us on the Sister Wigs 2 channel at 6 p.m. Saturdays. I also tried to pick a time, by the way, that I thought wouldn't conflict with anybody else's live streams who makes this kind of content here on YouTube. So that day and time seems to work for everybody. I've been asking around for several weeks, so we're just going to run with it. Also, I might bring on some content from Nigel. Nigel and I have been talking about maybe him recording some adult-type bedtime stories that we would not monetize, so that way you could actually listen to them on one long playlist when you're trying to relax or fall asleep, or just need to hear a soothing, delightful baritone voice with an English twang tell you stories to relax or something. I don't know. I feel like he's got a real gift there with that voice of his, and every time I get him on camera, people go, ooh, that voice. So I figured this would be a nice way where we could really just do something kind of soothing and fun, and that will also be on the Sister Wigs 2 channel. So hopefully that all makes sense. The delineation between the two channels: Sister Wigs 1, makeup, hair, functional, positive; Sister Wigs 2, candid, real. You're going to get to know a lot about me, and both are going to have a lot of educational content involved. You know, it's a crazy thing. When YouTube first launched, it was like they treated all of the channels as if they were channels. They're called channels, so you could have multiple kinds of content, and that was totally fine. But now they want you to basically have a show per channel where you do the same thing all the time. And the problem with doing that is that it gets stale after a while. So I want to focus doing things that are more of a community service, more educational than just reviewing products and trying to sell them. Follow along with that content calendar so you can know what's going to launch and when, and that way you can join us for the premieres of any new content, and you can also join us for the live streams, but I will try to do them predictably at 6 p.m. every Saturday. We're going to explore different topics that aren't just a sales pitch and see what lands and what doesn't. Refine, recalibrate, try again. You know, I think that necessity is the mother of invention, and I would really like to just see what we can accomplish together and where we can take this. So thank you so much for your time, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful and prosperous new year, and I look forward to seeing you again in 2021. Bye, everybody.
Wake up, baby, all the stars are shining bright. Yeah, we should stay up so that we can look at